Hello everyone, I'm Len, the control guy, and today we're going to talk about some Duskmourne cards in Timeless. Alright, so a bit of a shorter video today. I'm not going to do a full set review. No, I'm just going to go over this slideshow I made of cards and mechanics I think are going to be good in Duskmourne. Timeless specifically. This video is not going to include like Explorer, Historic, Standard, whatever, because while Duskmourne is a push set for those formats, I don't think there's too many cards that are going to see Timeless play in from Duskmourne. But yeah, we're just going to look at them. Obviously, bonus sheets are bonus sheets. I didn't include those. I'm only including main set cards. So yeah, enjoy. Alright, the first thing that I instantly noticed is Manifest Dread, and how this mechanic actually is pretty good. So basically, Manifest Dread says you look at the top two cards of your library, you choose one of them, that becomes a face down 2/2, with no ward, it's not cloak, it's just a normal 2/2, and the other goes into your graveyard. The thing with Manifest Dread is that it gives you card selection, and you can turn the 2/2 face up, by the way, for its mana cost if it's a creature at any time. Anytime you can cast an instant. So the thing I thought of immediately is the Elder Titans, right? The Elder Giants, Uro and Flage. If you Manifest Dread into a Flage, it's a 2/2. Then you move to combat. Before you attack, you flip it upright. It's a Flage. It doesn't escape. It doesn't have sacrifice itself because it didn't enter the battlefield. It just flipped up. You attack with it, you get Flage and Uro's triggers, right? So cheating these Elder Titans into play is going to be a really good thing you can do in Timeless with Manifest Dread. The problem with Manifest Dread is the cards that have it aren't really as... They are pushed for Explorer and for Standard, but they're not pushed enough for Timeless. So is 2 mana Manifest Dread enough? Is Abhorrent Oculus, the probably really best Manifest Dread creature in the set, is that enough? Obviously, Abhorrent Oculus also does other things, being a big flyer for 3 mana, and Manifest Dreading every opponent's upkeep, which is pretty good. Probably better in Commander where you have multiple opponents, but repeatedly being able to Manifest Dread is really good. And the thing about Manifest Dread is even if you don't want to put your Flage onto the battlefield as a 2/2, putting it into the graveyard is just as good. So yeah, Manifest Dread I think is a great mechanic for the other times. Next, we're going to talk about removal spells in this set. Split Up is a very interesting board wipe, which basically lets you destroy all tapped or untapped creatures. I think in Timeless this is actually better than it is in lower power formats, because the creatures that you want to destroy, Sheoldred, Bowmaster, etc., they're not always going to be tapped. And when you do want to destroy all creatures, they're usually good. Like, that are tapped. If it's an aggro deck, they're going to be tapped, right? Um, so yeah, I feel like this could be a good sweeper, especially in a deck that's, for example, trying to play Acre Gold or something where like the other sweepers aren't great, or say a deck with Tamio can't play Temporary Lockdown because your Temporary Lockdown exiles your Tamio regardless of if she's a Planeswalker or not. So yeah, this is an interesting card and could definitely see play. We're gonna try it out. Otherwise, we have Pyroclasm on Arena. I don't think Pyroclasm was on Arena yet, but 2 damage to each creature for 2 mana is really, really efficient. Probably not going to see main deck play in Jeskai, but could see main deck play in like an Izzet control deck, because being able to beat all creatures from Boros aggro deck is really, really, really useful. And then Unwanted Remake, just instant speed destroy target creature. It's controller Manifest Dread. Obviously, you can do the funny stuff where you kill your own creature and Manifest Dread, but honestly, this is probably not strong enough, but 1 mana to destroy any creature is good. So we'll see. Maybe this could see play, but it doesn't beat Swords to Plowshares. It might be better than Path of Exile. So we'll see. Alright, next we're going to talk about some blue cards. I actually want to start with the Vanish from Sight effect. Vanish from Sight isn't going to see play in Timeless, but one thing to note is that Wizards is kind of slowly power creeping the effect of putting a permanent into its owner's library as blue removal. That used to be Totally Lost, a 5 mana sorcery. Is it Totally Lost a sorcery? I'll have to fact check that. But I remember this effect used to be 5 mana sorcery speed to put something on top of its owner's library. Now you basically get subtlety on a creature and then on an instant and you surveil one. So that is not bad, but we're gonna need a couple more years of power creep before this is actually a playable effect in Timeless. Anyway, we got Get Out, which has counter spells cost, but only counters creature or enchantment spells, which isn't horrible, but also isn't really good enough for Timeless. But then you can also return up to 2 target creatures and or enchantments you own to your hand. So I don't know where this could be useful. Returning a Solitude back to your hand could be good sometimes. Like, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Returning a Leyline Binding back to your hand might be good in some situations. We'll see if this card can see play. Probably not, but again, the set isn't very pushed for Timeless. It's very pushed for Explorer. And Explorer, this card is insane. Anyway, we got Silent Hole Creeper. This card is one of those cards that might actually be like broken in Vintage. I remember we got Mercurial Spelldancer or whatever, the one from that puts oil counters on herself and then copies spells. This thing is actually really interesting. It can't be blocked, and then whenever it deals combat damage, you can either grow it, you can draw a card, or you can make it a copy of another target creature you control. Making it a copy after it dealt combat damage is a bit awkward. Actually, never mind. I thought that was until end of turn. It's just permanently a copy of another creature. That's very interesting. You could do that. But obviously it doesn't get around the legend rule and whatever. But my point is, the option to either grow it or draw a card could be really good in an Is It Tempo deck. In theory. Obviously a 1/1 body gets Bowmastered, gets Lightning Bolted, gets everything, it just dies. But it could be an interesting, like, tempo card creature. Similarly, we get Fear of Imposters could also be a tempo card. It could like because it's 3 mana. When it enters the battlefield, you counter target spell and its controller manifests dread. Again, giving your opponent a manifest dread isn't great, but if you get to counter say a show and tell and let the manifest dread and you now have a 3/2, that could be a good tempo play. Like this is essentially think of it as a Tashana's Tidebinder, but it actually counters any spell you want. But then we get to Manifest Dread. But some decks won't need the Manifest Dread. Like for example, when you can flip into like say an Ocelot Pride, then obviously Manifest Dreading it's not good to give a Boros opponent Manifest Dread. But against a control deck with no creatures, Manifest Dread is just a 2/2 with no mana cost. So honestly, it might just be good enough to do this. But yeah, that's a couple of blue cards that I saw in the set that might be pretty good. Alright, next we have a big maybe. So this is Nowhere to Run. Flash enchantment, when it enters the battlefield, target creature get an opponent controls get -3/-3. And then creatures opponent control can be the target, regardless of hexproof, and ward abilities don't trigger. This card lets you get around annoying ward costs like that colorless Eldrazi that has hexproof from colors, which means it's just untargetable basically. It gets around annoying ward costs like ward sacrifice a creature on Vein Ripper or ward sacrifice 2 permanents on Ulamog. So this could be a card. It's probably going to be a sideboard card for best of 3 for sure, but this could sneak into the main decks of like a Dimir control deck, for example, right? Because dealing with hexproof is really like important. Like it's important, but it's very niche, if that makes sense. Alright, next we have the things we control mages have to be scared of. There's a lot of good red cards, pushed red cards in this format. So we obviously, I'm going to start talking about the weakest one, I think, Leyline of Resonance. Obviously everyone's heard of the turn 2 kill by now. In Timeless, there was a deck, no, was that even in Timeless or was that in Explorer? I don't think there's a deck in Timeless that does like A+B, a creature plus pump spell. Heroic was a Explorer deck. I don't think that actually translated well into Timeless. So it's probably not going to see any play, but it could, in theory, see play. Obviously, Leyline says that whenever you cast an instant source spell that targets only a single creature, you copy that spell and you can choose new targets or the copy. Oh, what a mouthful. But yeah, now the cards we're actually really scared of is Red Bowmaster. Red doesn't kill Needlehead. It's just, it has first strike during the turn, that's irrelevant. It's a 2/2 that whenever you draw a card, you lose 1 life. So Rakdos now has this and Bowmaster to punish controllers for drawing cards. So you're gonna have to figure out a way to, cantrip through a deck without drawing cards. But it's a threat. I don't think it's as bad as Bowmaster, because Bowmaster effectively deals you 2 damage for every card you draw because it also makes the Orc, remember? So this isn't gonna, like, kill you as fast as Bowmaster would kill you. Anyway, Next we have Screaming Nemesis. This card is clunky, but when you do what it wants to do, you can lock an opponent out of gaining life for the rest of the game, which I think these emblem type effects on creatures or on non-planeswalker ultimates are scary to me. Anytime something says you have no maximum hand step for the rest of the game, or you can't gain life for the rest of the game, that is very scary. Because what if this guy just targets his own Screaming Nemesis with like a Galvanic Discharge and deals 1 damage to it, and then that thing pings me for 1, and I cannot gain life for the rest of the game? Like, it's scary. I don't know if this will see play, but it definitely sounds scary for me. Also, it's just a 3 mana 3/3 haste. Just put 2 of them in your aggro deck in Timeless. Maybe. I don't know if this is worth. Probably not. Fear of Missing Out is probably going to see play. Let's, like, as much as I want to cry, Fear of Missing Out is probably going to see play. Delirium, extra combat step for 2 mana, a 2/3, that's good enough. That's definitely going to see play. Also, when it enters the battlefield, you discard a card, draw a card. If you have no hand, you draw a card. That's definitely going to see play. And then finally, Grab the Prize isn't amazing, but it's another looting effect for the Arclight Phoenix deck. They can discard their Phoenix, draw 2 cards, and deal 2 damage to you. So that's not bad. So yeah, these are the cards you got to look out for. If you're playing Control, be careful. People might be playing these. I don't think these are better than any card in Timeless yet, apart from maybe Fear of Missing Out. That might be good enough for Timeless, but they slot into already existing Timeless decks. Apart from Leyline. Leyline is just weird. We gotta look out for Leyline, but we'll see. Anyway. Alright, what does green do in this set? So, as you can see here, honestly, this is low-key already a deck. This is already a shell, right? Say Its Name. The Say Its Name Altanak package is very interesting. Say Its Name is a sorcery for 2 mana that mills 3 cards. Then you can return a creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. So you basically never miss land drops with fetch lands. That's just how it works. It's basically Witherbloom command. It's that mode of Witherbloom command. But you can also get a creature back if you want to. You can get back your Solitude that you've used. You can get back a Tamio that was killed. So that's pretty good. You can get back... you wouldn't want to get back an Aura, but you can if you want to. And then, at any time, you can exile this card and 2 other cards named Say Its Name from your graveyard. Then you get to search your hand, graveyard, and library, so anywhere, apart from exile, for Altanak, Thrice Called, and put it onto the battlefield. Actually, it only has a sorcery. Never mind. It's not at any point. It only has a sorcery. Sorry. But yeah, basically, you cast Say Its Name 3 times, or mill Say Its Name with Say Its Name, or whatever. You manifest Dread, Say Its Name goes into the graveyard. You basically just put this card in your graveyard. You exile 3 of them, and you can get Altanak Thrice Called, which is a 9/9 trample. And whenever it gets targeted by a spell or ability and opponent controls, you draw a card. So when they try to remove it, it cantrips you. So it replaces itself. Altanak, if you draw it, it's not a dead card in your hand, because it actually has the really good effect of you can discard it and return a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped at instant speed. Again, in a fetch land format, that is just ramp. That is straight up ramp in a fetch land format. That is straight up rampant growth. You just, for 2 mana, you discard it, you get your fetch land back on their end step, you untap, crack your fetch land, you have an extra land drop. I think Altanak is, like, that ability itself is good enough to have more than 1 if you're playing Say Its Name, in my opinion. Say Its Name, don't know if it's actually good enough, because it doesn't really do anything on its own, only returns creatures or lands. But yeah. If it returned a permanent, it would be broken, but it only returns creature or land, so whatever. Manifest Dread, you've already seen that card. Is that effect good enough for 2 mana sorceries? Maybe, maybe not, we'll see. But as you can see, Say Its Name mills you. Manifest Dread mills you and can put Uro directly into play. Uro wants your graveyard to be full. Altanak can discard itself for Uro or for Say Its Name later on. You can get Solitude back with Say Its Name. You're playing Oko, you can elk your manifest. If you say you manifest Dread a Swords to Plowshares, you can elk that and turn it into a 3/3 from a 2/2. You just play the One Ring. You can manifest Dread, put it in the graveyard, turn it into a creature. If you have Ephemerate, by the way, I don't know if this works, but if you manifest Dread and a One Ring or an Omniscience, and you Ephemerate that 2/2, I think it comes into the battlefield as the permanent. So in theory, there should be an Ephemerate Manifest Dread Omniscience deck. But again, it depends on how efficient manifesting Dread is. If this Manifest Dread card is the only good Manifest Dread card, we might not be able to do that, but we'll see. Anyway, moving on. Wait, green is actually kind of good. Green might just be the best color in the set, because it has a lot of banger cards. Overlord of the Hauntwoods, for 3 mana, gives you an everything land. and then it just flips into a 6/5 that gives you an everything land on every attack. It's only ramp, but we've seen a domain deck go crazy in Timeless, and being able to get domain guaranteed off of 1 land for 3 mana is really good. I don't think this will see play in control. I think this is going to see play in the domain deck. And then we have Kona Rescue Bestie. Yeah, if it's tapped, you can just put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. This is never... No one's going to play this fairly. This is going to put an Omniscience onto the battlefield. The question is, can you... This is a turn 4 Omniscience and you somehow have to tap it. Is it just better to play Show and Tell, right? It's probably better to just play Show and Tell. But someone is going to try and make this deck. That's all I'm saying. So yeah. Who knows? Might be good, might be bad. We don't know. Anyway, moving on. Now we just got a couple other cards that I think might be interesting. Inquisitive Glimmer. It's an enchantment cost reducer in blue-white, which is enchantment colors. So this could definitely see play. I don't know. I'm probably not going to play it because it's just a creature. But it's a 2/3. We saw, I forgot the name, but there was a Selesnya enchantment reducer, which saw a lot of play in Explorer, which even bled a little bit over into very early Timeless. But maybe. The Jolly Balloon Man, haste, 1/4, is just the backside of Fable of the Mirror Breaker. But the token is a 1/1. And you can target legendaries? Yeah, you can target legendaries. With Fable, you can't target legendaries. But with this one, you can make a second Atraxa. But if you have an Atraxa on the field, aren't you already winning? I don't know. This could see play. Again, I don't know. Then Marvin Murderous Mimic. There's no deck right now. This doesn't just go into a deck, but Marvin Murderous Mimic has all activated abilities of creatures you control that don't have the same name as this creature. So it just has all the abilities of all your creatures. That definitely goes infinite with something. I don't know. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it definitely goes infinite with something. We might see a Marvin infinite combo creature deck. And it's 2 mana, so Collect the Company finds it. Rally the Ancestors finds it. I don't know. It's easy to get with Court of Calling. Yeah. 2 mana colorless creature. Probably a combo enabler. But yeah. Other than that, it's just the land cycle. These lands, obviously, I don't think they'll see Timeless play, but honestly, for budget Timeless, the common land cycle is actually really good. I think you're gonna be low in Timeless. Like, especially if you're on a budget, you're gonna be low on life. The fact that these lands enter untapped at 13 or less life, that's really good. I think that's really, really good. Because you would have tapped lands even in a non-budget Timeless deck, right? But if you're on a budget, 4 common lands that enter untapped in the late game, that's really, really good. And the other ones, they also enter untapped, which is interesting. And they're plains, basically, until you have... If you have a plains or island, they also tap for blue. If they were typed, these would be broken. I feel like if they were... Oh, actually, they can't be. They would have to say, like, another plains or islands. If they were typed, these would be dual lands. These would just be broken. The only reason they're not just broken, in my opinion, is because they're not typed. Because if they were typed, if you had 2 of them, they'd just be duals. And you could fetch them. But yeah, so obviously they're not typed because that would just be broken. But yeah. Anyway, that's about it. Those are all the cards I think we'll see play in Timeless. Manifest Dread is a very interesting mechanic. But I don't know that the cards in the set actually are pushed enough that have Manifest Dread. If the Commander expansion of this goes onto Arena, there might be some cards that could see play. But apart from that, I feel like that's pretty much it. I probably missed something. If I missed something, let me know in the comments. But yeah, that's about it. I'm the Control Guy, and I bid you all farewell. Peace. Thanks for watching.